Hey guys, today's episode we have Harish Uthayakumar from the channel Curious Harish. He's a content creator on YouTube as well as an entrepreneur. His company BlueLearn got a funding of $450K from Lightspeed Ventures. Today, he shares experience with us. A few of them including life after getting funded, identifying good investors and employees, acquisition and much more. So stay tuned as this episode is going to be a lot of fun. With that, let's enjoy the video. Welcome, Harish. It's a pleasure to have you on our podcast. So, just to begin with, wanted to know a little more about yourself. So, when was it exactly when you wanted to know, like, you want to become an entrepreneur, and how did this idea of becoming an entrepreneur start in your life?
Yeah, sure. So, I really feel that there's no specific tipping point when you really want to start building something. It's a very gradual process. So, you're passionate about a problem, you start thinking about the problem, and then you start taking small steps, which may or may not lead to a startup, right? At least in my case, I saw that COVID hit, and then a lot of college students were just stuck at home. The problem that they faced was it was hard for college students to network and learn something together. So we were like, hey, why not build a Discord server where people can come in, have a chat, and learn something together. At that time, it was just a Discord server. There was no intention of building a startup. But then as eventually we progressed, we learned from this crowd. We got a bunch of insights about, what products can we build for this particular community. And then eventually we turned that into like a startup. So I would say, just be passionate about a particular problem. Could be in education, could be in community, could be in healthcare, whatever. And then start thinking about ideas on how exactly can you give value to that particular problem. And then like don't startups and businesses and NGOs are just layers on top of it. Ultimately, it's just you trying to, supply something to the market.
Correct. And also, like, if I'm not wrong, BlueLearn just received around $450K funding from Lightspeed Ventures. So, as viewers, we are really interested in knowing, like, how does a typical day in BlueLearn look like?
Doesn't make a huge difference. The difference between a funded startup and a non-funded startup is not huge, but then what happens is when you've raised venture capital money, you have to grow really fast, right? And that's the reason why investors put in money. So if you're growing at say 20-25% in terms of the user count or in terms of your revenue, then it's good sign. Then you're a venture backable business. So yeah, it's all about building things faster and better than your peers, because at least in the space that we are in, there are a bunch of other people with millions of dollars in their bank accounts, right? And as a small early stage startup, our vision or our day should look as if we are building 10 products at the same pace as a large startup that's building one product a day. Like that should be the intensity in case we want to compete in this market. But yeah, at least for us, we don't take too much stress. It's pretty simple. We don't have any work timings. Like at 9:30 a.m., everyone just meets and they're like, hey, I'm going to work on this task for the day, and that's pretty much it. Like no one asks any question, and then at the end of the day we just have another scrum meeting where everyone says if they were able to complete the tasks that they stayed in the morning or not. So that's pretty much it. That's a simple way through which we function. On Mondays we have something called the ideation scrum, where we plan out the entire week, and then on Fridays we do a review scrum where we check how the last week was, what can we learn from it, and how our next week should look like. So that's pretty much broadly how we function as a team.
I mean, like that's right now and today, I believe is the best approach because, giving everyone their own flexibility, increases their, productivity and also the creativity. So when we talk about creativity, there are many of the people out there who want to become an entrepreneur but do not have ideas, or maybe, somewhat the idea what they have in their minds already out there in the market. So how do you suggest for them to come up with new ideas for their business?
So as I said before, right, it's not about the idea. Like I can have an idea of, say, building another tripod company, but that's just an idea. Like I'm not even sure if the market needs it, right? A lot of people say when you become a startup founder, you're your own boss and all of those things. But then ultimately the market is your boss. So even if you're the fanciest entrepreneur, even if you're Kunal Shah, and if you build something that no one wants, and something that no one is going to purchase ever, then it's kind of pointless, right? So it's more about looking at what the market needs and then serving for that. Like, let's take an example of insurance. Buying insurance today is hard AF, right? Everyone's struggling. There's a lot of paperwork to be done, still manual. It's a stress. No one really likes buying insurance. So startups like Bhima Pay or Policy Bazaar come into play and simplify that particular issue. So it's all about, like, India in itself is such a vast country. There are so many problems ranging from healthcare, logistics, education. You could be construction. There are just so many problems out there, right? That you can just pick one of the problems that you're really passionate about, think about it over a week, and then start slowly getting involved in making it 10x better and reducing the impact of the problem.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like, solving the real-time world problem is, when once you identify the problem, you easily be able to solve it. So I mean, like, also a lot of new entrepreneurs out there, new startups, usually face this problem of, reaching out to the new customers. So what marketing strategies do you personally use at BlueLearn?
Oh, we use a community first approach. So what that means is, hey, we are a social product. We want feedback right from our consumers. So we build a community, as in, people interacting with each other. We organize events for them every single day. We are just ideating and looking for ways through which these guys, students in our case, can interact with each other. This could be quizzes, gaming tournaments, music concerts, open mics, someone teaching to code, someone teaching to design, whatever gives them enough value for them to come back on the platform. Like, that's the approach that we've been taking. Just getting as many students as possible under our umbrella, so that later on, in case we find that we could build something for them, then going on and building on top of it. So yeah, it's been a community first approach. So Discord servers, Telegram groups, and WhatsApp groups have been like really good growth channels for us. And I think even moving forward, that's what we'll be doubling down on.
Amazing. So like everything boils down to helping out your community and serving for them. So like if I could ask, who was your biggest inspiration while who's an entrepreneur, and who did you look up to, your mentor maybe, or someone who guided you?
Yeah, so I mean, I really look up to people around me. Like, I would never say that Elon Musk or Steve Jobs is my inspiration. Now, obviously, you can learn a lot from these guys. But when it comes to inspirations, it's usually people around me, right? Like Mohit and Gaurav from Stratzy, or Mehul Mohan from Codedam, probably startups that you haven't even heard of. But these are people from my college. These are people who are at a stage similar to mine. And therefore, for me, it's much easier to make my decisions if I ask them versus asking Kunal Shah or like an Elon Musk, right? So people who are in the same boat as me, but are hustling, they're building, shipping products every single day, solving real world problems. Those are the kind of people I look up to. So yeah, mostly college alumni. These are the two people that I just spoke of: Rahul Mathur from Bhima Pay, or Anirudh Singla and Rishabh Shekhar from Pepper Content, Awais from Pixel, a bunch of these guys who are from my college.
Okay, amazing. And also, like, you've been fortunate enough to have these people around you in your college. But for the people who are really do not have such people in their circles, so how would you advise them? How can they look up to this?
So yeah, this is a very valid question, right? Because BITS Pilani had a very good community. BITS Pilani had a very good network, and that's what we want to democratize through BlueLearn, right? The community aspect of college, where you are around smart people, and these smart people encourage you to become even better. So if you're not from a good college, or if you're at a place where you don't get the exposure that you should be getting, and that's the exact problem that we're trying to solve at BlueLearn. So entrepreneurship, for example, we have a startup club on BlueLearn where we have contacts with VCs, we organize meetups and things like that. So imagine every weekend a venture capitalist from a top Silicon Valley firm is coming and teaching you a particular concept about startups. We get top founders like Sambhav Jain from FamPay, or Udemy's founder Gagan Biyani. We get folks like them who sort of give talks and give you the kind of exposure required to get there in the ecosystem. And plus networking events, co-founder dating, or just validating your idea by being among people who are interested in startups. Like, that's what we wanted to provide. and everything and anything that normal colleges cannot provide, that's what we're trying to do digitally using BlueLearn.
Correct. Now that we got a little insights with BlueLearn, could you please help us with like who are your immediate competitors and how do you plan to differentiate BlueLearn from them?
Yeah. So, I mean, the way you look at competition right now is it's like different departments within BlueLearn have different competitions, right? For example, if I talk about the English club of BlueLearn, we're competing with Cambly, we're competing with Cambridge, we're competing with VIP Kids or a bunch of these English startups. If we talk about CD entrepreneurship one, then we're competing with Leap Club, we're competing with there's this BNI network, there's Della, Leaders Club, a bunch of these other organizations inside entrepreneurship. So here's the thing, like the more clubs we launch, the more competition we'll have from similar players in the ecosystem. And that's kind of a risky place to be in because more competition is not good. So our plan is to sort of build the community, but in terms of monetization, we'll be doubling down on just few communities that we are really passionate about and few of them which we think can do well in the future, right? So like if we start a coding community and start monetizing on it, it might not be a good idea because anyone can learn how to code from YouTube. Like it's not really a big thing nowadays. So yeah, just looking into these trends and monetizing on the right communities and doubling down on that would be the focus. But then that doesn't mean we stop creating communities. There'll be a coding community, there'll be a design community, but all of them will be like for free and it'll just be open for all.
Oh, okay. So like, what would be the top 3 communities that are at your priority list right now?
At this point in time, I would say English, entrepreneurship, and blockchain.
Oh, okay. That's amazing. Even I'm personally interested in blockchain. I keep, doing courses and all. It's just like very amazing. And also like, what is there in your pipeline for your future? How do you plan to expand your company and how do you plan to how do you actually plan, like, every startup wants to expand and, but actually getting down to pen and paper and groundwork. So take us through your future pipeline and what your plans are.
Yeah. So right now we're just figuring out the right product that we want to build, and that will sort of be there for the next 6 months, 1 year. So still in the product building phase, I would say. But right after that, it's about the scalability part, right? How do we go from 50,000 users right now to 100,000 users? How do we get more installs on the beta app and things like that? So I would say the problem would be you can divide the problem into 2 parts right now. The first one is figuring out the product. What exactly are you going to build? What exactly are you going to sell? What exactly are you going to monetize? What exactly is the other users going to find value in? That's the first part of it. The second part of it is like the scalability issue. Like how do you scale up marketing and grow channels to go from 100,000 to a million users and further? So yeah, these are definitely big questions and not problems that you can solve in a day using pen and paper. A lot of these would only come when you go out there, execute, make mistakes, and learn from it. So yeah, it's just this experimentation phase that we are in right now, where just trying whatever we can, just going all in and seeing what works, and then learning from that and doubling down on it. And at the same time, you'll have a lot of things which would not work, and then just going over that part and just putting that aside.
Right. Yeah, so as we previously also mentioned about the capital venture that BlueLearn just recently got. So, how could you help us help our viewers who are struggling for their capital venture yet, and how can they approach those companies who can help them for their capital ventures and fundings?
Oh, see, dude, like venture capital works in a they'll put money on the winners, right? Like people who are really solving a problem, people who really have some sort of traction in terms of users or revenue, because you got to look at it from their perspective as well. It's a risky bet. No one gives free money, and everyone wants to bet on something promising. So if you just have an idea, then it might not be a good idea to just go and pitch, because more often than not they'll say no. But if you're building something so cool that everyone's talking about, then a lot of VC firms would approach you instead directly, right? Instead of you going out there and approaching them. So I think that's a pretty sweet stage to be in, where you're building something that's hype worthy and people are actually talking about it, and firms come to know about your product. Like that's the good part to be in. But at the same time, if you think that, hey, that's not the kind of product that we have, it's not a lot of people know about it, but we're doing good in terms of revenue and traction, then just sort of go on these VC firms website. There's this website called Crunchbase. Just go there, look for VCs, email them, and they'll be more than happy to talk to you in case it's interesting.
Okay, so I mean, like, I'm pretty sure there were some red flags and green flags that you looked for while finding an investor. So could you please take
Yeah.
us through what are those red and green
Oh,
flags?
this is good. This is good.
I'm extremely sorry for the interruption, but I think that is too much of information to be gathered in a single episode. We'll be back with the part 2 on Wednesday, and in the meanwhile, you can check out BlueLearn, Harish's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. All the links will be there in the description box, and if you haven't already subscribed, you should do it right now. And we'll be back on Wednesday with the second part. Until next time, this is Priyank Arora signing off.